going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having an awesome Mother's Day spending with your mothers. It'll be awesome if you're watching this with you, because obviously your mother raised you right if you're watching C4's videos and not the other crap that's on YouTube. I very much appreciate it. Today, it's that time. It's that season, early mock draft season for the 2022 NFL Draft. So before we actually get into that, I wanted to quickly revisit my 2021 NFL mock draft. I was able to recreate it here on this lovely website just to kind of see very quickly the good picks, the bad picks. I mean, I'm not going to pat myself in the back overly for like, hey, look at me. I had Surtain and Jamar Chase going in the first round. But there's some good picks and some bad picks. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence to the Jags at 1 was essentially a foregone conclusion. Sean Wade was a miss. But a lot of people around too early mock draft season had him as a consensus first rounder. Then he went on the outside for Ohio State, and the rest was not great. I had Marvin Wilson at 7. He was a UDFA. That was rough. I love this. Both these picks correct. Wrong round for Jamal Holland. We went to the Dolphins in the second round. But we had Jalen Waddle in the first. My dude Twyman opted out. That kind of hurt his stock a little bit. Pro Day wasn't great. Definitely didn't help too much. Kyle Pitts. I was always high on Pitts before the breakout season. Had him going closer to the top 10 than he wasn't. Placeholder here. This was Justin Ross from Clemson. Obviously had a medical. Should be healthy. 2021. Should be a first rounder. Boogie Basham. This here's another placeholder. I had Xavier Thomas, the edge rusher from Clemson, going to Cleveland at 15. He obviously did not declare. Nasruddin was not a first rounder. Tefeli wasn't a first rounder. I had Carmen there. Look at that. Philadelphia Eagle UDFA signing. Jamie Newman. Had him being the successor to Ben Roethlisberger. Actually, very excited. The fact that Philly got Jamie Newman and Trevon Grimes as UDFAs, that's as strong. Like, I think Philly had like one of the strongest UDFA signing, which is, I mean, it is what it is, right? But anytime I feel excited about Philly signing UDFA, it's when we get like a Trey Burton, which is someone that I really wanted them to get. So hopefully that's the same here with Jamie Newman and Trevon Grimes. I had Trey Lance going in the first round. This was at a time where like some people had him going in the first. Some guys just did not want anything to do with Trey Lance. And that made me feel kind of smart. Creed Humphrey to the Eagles. So as much as the dust is now settled and, you know, Philadelphia getting Landon Dickerson, a center in the second round, injury-prone center, but still a center, it wasn't like I necessarily was surprised that they addressed that position, as I did have Philly going with Creed Humphrey, who I thought was the best center at that time. Leatherwood going in the first round. Look at this one. Wrong round, right pick. Kyle Trask to the Bucks. Take that. Marco Wilson was Devontae Smith way down here at 29, but this is kind of, you know, where I always thought he was going to be at this stage. Thought he was a first round, legit first rounder, but not, you know, where Philly got him in top 10. Then he went on and just won the freaking Heisman, built like a junior high schooler. But had him there. Couple more UDFA misses here and snowed into the Ravens. Dylan Moses to the Chiefs. But again, you know, with someone like Dylan Moses, didn't know, you know, it was a gamble type projection because no one thought that he was going to struggle from the injuries the way that he has. And if he didn't struggle with the injuries, most likely would have been the Dylan Moses. That was a bona fide first-round talent. So overall, had some fun. You know, some really bad picks, some really good picks when all is said and done. Hopefully, we could have the same level of success here in the way too early 2022 mock. Let's get into it. All right, time for our way too early 2022 mock draft. Now, I am re-recording this. The first one, the video went like 45 minutes. Just said way too much that could absolutely come back to bite me in the ass. So we're going to try to be a little bit more concise, but still kind of justify the pick. So there's got to be a lot of assumptions, especially with this draft order, especially when it comes to the quarterback spot, because there's some teams like, you know, Detroit with Goff, Philly with Jalen Hurts, you have Derek Carr and the Raiders, Daniel Jones with the Giants, like all these teams that like they may or may not have, you know, a chance to develop at that quarterback spot, and they'll be satisfied with their quarterback spot going into this draft. But I'm going to assume by these draft positions, it probably didn't go well, and they're going to be looking for an improvement at QB. Also, because I love this mock draft database.com website, they have given Philly the Colts first round pick. Right now, it's a comp pick. Philly holds the second round, and if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the snaps, it's going to turn to a first round pick. So that's kind of cool that, hey, if you use this website and you're an Eagle fan, you got those 3 first round picks in hand. So without further ado, at number 1, I'm going to have them go Spencer Rattler. Right now, I mean, I have, let's put the plug in here, for the old Patreon. On my Patreon, I have done my preseason way too early draft rankings for the offensive side of the ball. QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and lineman. All of those are up there. I have my big boards. I have top 5s, top 10s, breaking down by conference. So it's super in-depth. And I'm using it essentially, that's kind of my baseline for when I create my new Madden 22 draft classes. But if you guys want to go check that out, get a little bit of knowledge ahead of the upcoming college football season, definitely supporting my Patreon is awesome, especially right now in the, when the old YouTube channel is kind of like this. Patreon is very, very helpful, and I appreciate everyone that has supported my Patreon. We got really close to 100 patrons. I appreciate it. Either way, bringing it back, no more shameless plugging. If Houston's picking at 1, they're going to need a quarterback. Deshaun Watson's not there. And while they did get Davis Mills high, if you're picking number 1 overall, I don't think, you can eat that, whatever, that third-round investment on Davis Mills. You can eat that to go out and get your guy. And given, just trying to figure out stylistically if the owners and all that stuff like a Deshaun Watson style quarterback at 1, it's going to be Spencer Rattler. There's questions about it. I truly don't know if he's going to end up QB1 or not, but the upside, the flashes are there. Needs to add more consistency to his game, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's the number 1 overall pick when it all said and done. Pick 2, the Detroit Lions are here, and again, maybe they like Jared Goff. Maybe the Sewell selection is going to have to keep him upright, and he can operate within that offense. Jalen, they got... you got some playmakers there, right? But if you're here, things didn't work out with Jared Goff. So if things aren't working out with Jared Goff, even though you got some weapons, some nice pieces, we're going to have them get Howell out of North Carolina. It's going to be, that is truly exciting. Because when you went into last year's college football season, everyone knew Trevor Lawrence was going to be QB1. And while there was a lot of battle about who would be QB2, we saw, especially right up to the very end, between Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Zach Wilson coming out of nowhere, I truly think, at least in this year's class, QB1, the entire QB board, is completely open. I do think, though, given what we've known so far, and this is a way too early mock, one of these guys is going to, I think it'll most likely end up these dudes, QB1, QB2, even though I really, and I hate to say it as a Florida Gator fan, kind of scared about what JT Daniels is going to look like in Georgia, because he played the last couple of games there, and he looked pretty damn good. He won't have George Pickens at wide receiver, suffered an ACL. And I think if healthy, Pickens could be wide receiver 1 in this class, even though he's a little bit of OBJ to him. A little bit of that spice to him. We'll go these QB spots. And ultimately for this pick number 2, I think most Lion fans, even if you are optimistic about Goff, if you're picking at 2, means Goff didn't work out. You have to get your quarterback replacement. Pick 3, the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to have them protect Joe Burrow, because if the Bengals are picking at pick 3, and I assume this draft order is based off of some odd sites, betting odds that is, Burrow probably didn't stay healthy. The gamble of not investing in the offensive line until the second round, where they got Jackson Carman, who might be better suited to be a guard. So you're getting the best tackle in this year's draft, head and shoulders. I feel comfortable that Evan Neal is going to be offensive tackle 1, very much like I felt like P.N.I. Sewell was going to be offensive tackle 1 last year. And with this selection, that gives you the ability with, Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams could be a guard or tackle. When he's coming out of Alabama, no one was really sure what position he could play. Gives you some versatility there. Jackson Carman could be guard, could be tackle. Either way, I'll tell you right now, Evan Neal walks in, he is your left tackle. You figure out right tackle, you figure out who's shuffling around in the guard. But if you're picking at 3 near the Bengals, the Jamar Chase selection didn't work out. Burrow did not have time to find anybody because the O-line was kind of shit. So there you go. You get your franchise tackle there. 4, we get the number 1 overall player in the draft going to the Jets. I feel like this could be another frustrating year for Bengals fans if they want a tackle, because Thibodeau, you might just say screw it and let's just get the best player, I think, in this draft, because we're not a QB-hungry team, or they could be looking to trade out of that 3. But either way, the Jets, I think Thibodeau is overall the number 1 player on my big board in this draft. Everyone always says he's the best edge rusher since. I don't know if I can rank them right now, but if you're putting in the Bosa's, you're putting in Chase Young, you're throwing in Myles Garrett. Thibodeau is closer to the top of that list than he's at the bottom. I think if I had to rank them right now, top of my head, I'd go Myles Garrett 1, Thibodeau 2, Chase Young 3, and then the Bosa's 4 and 5. He's very good, very well-rounded. You want your S-tier athlete, you want the length, you want the pass rush ability, you want a guy that's also very good against the run. He does all those things, and that is, Robert Saleh would be just bolted up to the panel, the table, handling in that draft selection. Pick 5, Jacksonville. This is probably my first pick where I'm like, I had safety as a need for the Jacks, and right now Kyle Hamilton could be, 5's rich for a safety. I get the optics. 5 is rich for a safety. But Notre Dame, when they have a really good defensive player, they tend to shine. They tend to get all the hype around them. We saw it with Manti Te'o. If he didn't have the fake girlfriend thing, who knows where he would have went. We saw with Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith didn't get hurt. He was probably going to be a top 10 pick that year. And Kyle Hamilton is that next super hyped up Notre Dame player, and rightfully so. Can do everything that you want a safety to do. Could help transform that secondary. Because, I mean, you look at the rest of the board here. Where do you go? They're not going to, I don't think they're going to grab a corner. Could go Drake Jackson at edge, but you have Josh Allen still. You know, I think if you're going for like this stick your neck on the line, I think Kyle Hamilton will help that defense more. But you can't go wrong with the fact that it's a top 5 pick. Safeties don't generally go top 5. So then you're more so looking at a Drake Jackson, maybe a Leal. Go down a little bit. I think Harrison's going to jump up a little bit more up these draft boards there. But ultimately, I just like the fit. I think best fit for Jags right there is a safety, even though positional safeties don't go top 5. But he'd be very good for that defense and help out Tyson Campbell, help out Henderson, help out Shaq Griffin, all those guys. That would really put that secondary together. And, you know, maybe something like Urban Meyer could think outside the box and just say, screw it, I'm drafting the best player. I don't care if safeties don't go this high. Because this guy could be the Derwin James, a healthy Derwin James for our defense. Pick 6, Philly is up. This pains me, Eagles fans, because I see it. But if we're picking at 6, it means Jalen Hurts isn't the guy. There's no way that Philly picks. This is our own pick, not from Miami, not from the Colts. If Philly's picking at 6, Jalen Hurts, way more questions. At best, way more questions than answers. If not, he's not our guy. So at this point, while almost the dream picks there, I'm going to have him get JT Daniels, quarterback from Georgia, fits the mold of Philly because he's still technically a Pac-12 quarterback. And we all know Philly, for whatever reason, loves Pac-12 players, even though this year was a little bit more SEC focused, I suppose, which I was happy with. But I as much as this pains me to say, because I am a Florida Gator fan, I think JT Daniels, like if there had to be, if when we look back in hindsight, and it's not Rattler or Howell, I think JT Daniels. Those are the 3 QBs this year that could potentially end up as QB1. And I like JT Daniels. I thought, it sucks that he transferred. There's always that, we saw it with Justin Fields, not really with Jalen Hurts, but you just, you always like this to be like, why'd you transfer? You didn't think you could beat out the guy like JT Daniels. You didn't feel like you could beat out Slovis at QB. There's always that little bit of like, what's going on there? But I think he's a damn good quarterback, and if Philly's picking at 6, Jalen Hurts is unfortunately not the guy. 7 for the Raiders. Now I have to think like John Gruden this one. Raiders, you're picking at 7. You're most likely moving on from your quarterback, but they don't ever get the guys that you're expecting. Like right now, the QB boards like this, Slovis, Desmond Ridder. I don't really agree with Shao being there, but Malik Willis getting a lot of hype right now. Maybe going to be the Trey Lance of this year's draft. Could go first round. And they're going to be like, all right, it's going to be one of these guys. And then John Gruden's going to hit them with this. They're going to get Carson Strong from Nevada. They're going to go with a quarterback that's probably projected to go in the second round, maybe late first. They're going to get him top 10. He just seems like a Gruden grinder. Stylistically, feels like the type of quarterback that the Raiders would want. Big body, 6'4", 6'5", 220, very accurate, big arm, versus someone like, say, Slovis, where there's injury concerns, Desmond Ridder, a little bit more of a dual threat, Malik Willis, dual threat. I feel like John Gruden wants a quarterback that can operate within his system. And you see constantly, you watch a Raider game, he's always doing that stupid glare to Derek Carr when he seems to mess up a play. So you need to, kind of think of, QB, like Jared Goff with McVay. You kind of for the Raiders, if they're going to get their new quarterback, they're going to want that QB robot that can just be like an extension of John Gruden's mind. And at that point, it's going to be like a Strong or Slovis, and I feel like Strong's a little outside the box, which perfectly fits in with what the Raiders do with their drafts. Pick 8. We have the Giants here, and here's where I'm going to go. A little bit surprising. Don't love this pick, but if the Giants are picking at 8, they're going to be grabbing a quarterback. I feel like, again, Slovis, the injury, he did not look good last year. If he bounces back, probably will get himself in the first round consideration. But we'll just go with the hype train right now and put Malik Willis there. You saw with Dave Gettleman, he drafted Cam Newton. Malik Willis is more like, if you're trying to compare scrambling quarterbacks, more like a Lamar Jackson than he is a Cam Newton. But we've seen Dave Gettleman, who we think is a super old school traditional, I want my pocket passer with his goddamn, military crew cut. That's my quarterback right there. You got to look like John Unitas. But he's shown that he will kind of go with the scrambling quarterback, the guy that can be the most effective, maybe game changer on the offensive side of the ball. Given that board, we'll buy the hype train here, even though I'm not a huge fan of the selection. Giants, if this is their board, they are picking at 8. They're going quarterback. And out of all those QBs, it's a crapshoot at this point. So I'll throw in Willis there, exciting playmaker. 9, we have the Atlanta Falcons. They could be considering a quarterback. but I'm going to go BPA for them and grab Derek Stingley because they also could absolutely be improving the defense, the back end of that defense. I think you throw in Stingley back there with AJ Terrell. Good pieces to start rebuilding that defense there. But again, same could be said for a lot of these picks with these teams that if they're picking at 9 means maybe they're ready to move on from Matt Ryan. And if that's the case, I would probably plug in Slovis, given this draft board right here. But we'll have him go BPA and bring in Stingley. 10, the Panthers. Again, they're picking at 10. Sam Darnold, they didn't give up huge assets for Sam Darnold. They're probably going to be looking to get a brand new quarterback. And if that's the case, going for the guys that are left, I'm going to throw them Desmond Ridder. Scrambling quarterback, dual threat quarterback. Hopefully Joe Brady's still there that can develop him. But I do think when all is said and done, Desmond Ridder should be maybe close to consensus. First rounder. Return to Cincinnati was a smart decision. Help his draft stock. Cincinnati's going to be a competitive program next season. And we'll have them grab a quarterback there. Pick 11, Giants back up. This is the pick I believe they got from the Bears. So at this spot, I'm going to have them improve their defense. And you have someone like Drake Jackson. I think he's more going to be a 4-3. Maybe not the perfect fit. Leal could be interesting. Dave Galvin likes building the lines. But I would give them a 3-4 outside linebacker here. And Christian Harris from Alabama, one of my favorite players in this draft. Don't think, it's weird to say. I don't think he's getting enough respect right now. And you never say that for an Alabama prospect. But I think he's really good. I think if I ever came up with my top 10 big board, I think he might crack that top 10. And that's a good get there for the Giants, getting them an edge rusher. For their linebacking core, 12, we have the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm going to have them go just BPA, kind of like, Arizona here, Atlanta, just getting Derek Stingley. Arizona, we're going to get an edge rusher there. Really, you have J.J. Watt on that D-line. Who else do they have? Zach Allen. Ugh, not great. And again, scheme fit. Drake Jackson. Where's he really going to fit? 3-4, 4-3, whatever. I think he's versatile and very good athlete. Is he the second edge we have after Thibodeau? Right now, for my big board, looking at the guys I have, he definitely is my second edge, Drake Jackson. So there you go. Get some more pass rush help there. Because, how long is J.J. Watt going to last left of his contract? Maybe, maybe not. But let's improve that defense. 13. Plus, it might be a change. If Arizona's picking at 12, probably have a brand new coach. Could be trying to install new philosophies. Maybe they're switching to a scheme. But this here is just strictly BPA. If not, they're staying 3-4. Leal, he's 295. That could also be a very legit selection. 13, Washington. I have them. They're going to pull the trigger. They're going at 13. That means the Ryan Fitzmagic kind of one-year Band-Aid experiment didn't work. He didn't win the division. So it's time to grab a quarterback, and they get, we'll just say, Slovis here. If he can come back, not look like the QB we saw last year, again, coming off an injury, big-time questions. You're looking at guys coming off injuries. Slovis, I think Justin Ross, George Pickens, those are going to be the guys that are going to be really, really scrutinized with their health when it comes to this draft. But we'll just give him the benefit of the doubt that Slovis is going to look like the Slovis from 2 years ago and not the one from last year. And if that's the case, he will be a first-round quarterback. And there you go, Washington football team fans. 14, Minnesota. Also, you're probably going to do QB. Kellen Mond's probably going to be your guy here. You're at 14. It's another failed, disappointing season with Kirk Cousins. So for them, I think probably going in the secondary would be where I'd go. And I'm going to have them grab Kyer Elam from Florida. Right now, Elam needs to have a strong year to get himself, in my opinion, to be a consensus first rounder. But given what we've had, Florida's had very inconsistent defense, especially in the secondary. Last couple years, Elam's been solid since he's been a true freshman. And very solid, very consistent. I liked him. Really, you look at the last couple big corners coming from Florida. Marco Wilson, C.J. Henderson, was pretty hyped up. And that was the group. And I always thought Elam was the best of those guys. And, Minnesota definitely needs to improve that second to get the Band-Aid with Pat Pete. What's going on with not Mike Hughes, but Jeff Gladney, right? What's going on? Serious off-the-field issues there. So we're going to have him grab a corner and move on to the Kellen Mond era. 15, Pittsburgh. All right, well, here's a little bit of the reach. I'm going to have him get Matt Corral. Air raid quarterback. I think he's going to put up big numbers in the SEC yet again, which, while I'm very concerned about the turnovers, personally, there's some beef. He was committed to Florida, then he left. Yada, yada, yada. But from a standpoint of super productive SEC quarterback, he's going to be that. And that holds weight. Maybe it's overrated. Maybe it's not. Given the other QBs, I'm not a fan of the Texas Tech. He was Oregon's QB. Jurgovich is solid. I don't know if he's first rounder. I do like Jaden Daniels. I think he's a gamer quarterback. Don't know if he's first rounder. Then you just kind of go to the what ifs. Is Emory Jones going to be good? Is Bryce Young down here for Alabama, is he even draft eligible? Sometimes the prospects here don't really line up with what's going to happen. Him and Mertz Like, those would be the guys I'd be thinking of for first rounders, but I don't even think they're eligible. Thought Mertz was a true sophomore, and wouldn't Young be redshirt freshman somewhere in that? I don't know. But I will say this to cover my ass. If Mertz and Bryce Young are eligible, I'd be probably picking them over Corral. I'm just going with what most likely is the board for QBs, the pool of QBs that could go in the first round. And I think given this board, Corral's the last guy that I could see slipping into the first round. 16, Denver. So if they're picking at 16, quarterbacks absolutely could be a possibility. But if you're picking at 16, that means either they got Aaron Rodgers, but if they had Aaron Rodgers, they won't own this first round pick. Or Drew Lock was solid enough to almost get them in the playoffs, and maybe that'd buy him another year of development, or Teddy Bridgewater, or whatever. So from this, I'm going to have them get Leal on the defensive line. He'd be a D-end in their scheme. Very good. Kind of a free fall. I do think he's better than 16, but it's just how the board kind of played out here. 17, the Chargers. I want them to improve their secondary. I'm having to get Andrew Booth from Clemson. Secondary board, a little bit all over the place here. No, I don't think I think Seven Banks and Joe slightly overrated. Definitely Banks. Wasn't impressed watching him a whole lot right now. So I'm going to have Booth. I currently have him as my corner 2 after Derek Stingley. 18. The New England Patriots at 18. I think they're going to just go BPA to help out Mac Jones, and that's going to be Chris Olave from Ohio State. A lot of people thought he could be a potential first rounder. Decided to go back to Ohio State. He's only going to refine his craft more, I think. Kind of like a Devontae Smith effect, where Devontae Smith could have declared last year and would have been a probably late first round pick at Alabama. Went back, got the Heisman, top 10. I think similar results here for Olave. I don't know if he's going to be, a lock to be the first wide receiver off the board, but I like the fit for New England. Explosive, downfield wide receiver. 19, we have the New Orleans Saints, and I'm going to have them improve their secondary and get Trent McDuffie from Washington. Really a logjam for the corners. Again, I'm going to just keep burning here with Philly, because I think Philly is also still going to be looking for that guy that can play on the other side of Darius Slay, and I'm going to have them get Ahmad Gardner. Well, Duffy comes from a little bit more proven school, Pac-12, which could give you a little more confidence draft. I think Ahmad Gardner, height, weight, speed on the outside, ball hawk for Cincinnati. Both these corners, I do have McDuffie one spot ahead right now for my corner rankings, but it's almost like 3A, 3B at this point, and I'll just give, either way, good fits for both these teams that need to go out and improve their secondary. 21 for Dallas, I'm going to get Weidemeyer, tight end from Texas A&M, tight end 1 for me in this class easily. Don't know if he's going to be a first rounder, but the fact that he's probably the premier receiving threat in A&M, one of the best overall receivers. He's kind of like Kyle Pitts in a regard of, like, if you're just looking at the best overall wide receivers, not wide receivers, but just receivers in the SEC, I think Weidemeyer makes that top 10 list, even though he's a tight end. He'd be the only tight end on that list, and Dallas still trying to find that Jason Witten replacement. 22, we have the New York Jets. I think this kind of comes down to, what is Vera Tucker going to be for them? Is he going to be a guard? Is he going to be a tackle? I'm going to go on the assumption that he's going to be a guard, and if that's the case, I'm going to kind of be maybe a little hipster, at least according to this website, and I'm going to have them get Sawyer from Georgia. I think Sawyer is underrated tackle, was one of the best tackles in the SEC last year, which always holds some weight. I think him, Green, Zion Nelson, that'd be my group of linemen here, but clearly Joe Douglas wants to build the trenches there. You have your Kubi and Zach Wilson, but again, that offensive line still kind of catching up for the rest. You have these shiny new tools at running. You got Michael Carter at running back. You got Elijah Moore at wide receiver. You have your new quarterback. You have someone to pair with Becton, but that offensive line still, outside of Becton and Vera Tucker, could be better. So with Sawyer here, you're either getting I think he's going to be a tackle. I think he'll be your right tackle. Or if someone like Vera Tucker ends up being the right tackle there, he could be a really, really good guard. So we're going on the offensive line there. Tennessee at 23. I'm going to have them grab a wide receiver, and I'm going to have them get Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. Again, a little bit of a logjam for these wide receivers. I think Ross and Pickens are going to have some medical concerns, but absolutely both talent-wise, first-round receivers. I think Mechie's a first-rounder. I think Treylon Burks is also a first-rounder. But given the board, I like Garrett Wilson. I have the Ohio State wide receivers 1 and 2 right now in my positional rankings, which, you can find on the old Patreon right there. Philly, back up again at 24. There's no way Philly's having 3 first-round picks and not trying to improve the defensive line. So I'm going to have them get the gigantic 6'5", 6'6", 270 Zach Harrison. Not as hyped as the Bosa's or Chase Young, but absolutely a first-round edge rusher. And we look for Philadelphia. Really uncertainty what the future of it is. Is Braden Graham going to be there when we get into 2022? No long-term contract right now for Derek Barnett. Can Josh Sweat take that next step? A lot of questions there. So the fact that the board's like this, we already addressed corner. We have our quarterback. I don't think Philly would go, you're looking BPA, wide receiver. I don't think they'd go tackle. I'd love someone like John Mechie having a Canadian wide receiver. That would be dope. But I don't think Philly goes wide receiver 3 straight first rounds. It just makes sense. Howie Roseman would grab at least someone on the D-line. I think Zach Harrison has the most upside there at 24. 25, we have the Cleveland Browns, and they're probably a little bit pissed, but still very happy. They're going to get Kyle Fittis, the edge rusher from Purdue. They have Clowney on a 1-year deal, but essentially still need that long-term partner for Myles Garrett, and they grab that there, and a very well-rounded edge rusher from Purdue. 26, Green Bay Packers. I'm going to have them grab a playmaker. Who the hell their quarterback is, be it Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love, still probably need wide receiver help. So I'm going to have them get John Mechie from Alabama. Super productive, maybe a little bit Canadian bias, have him go ahead of someone like Burks or Pickens. But I do think he's just going to be yet another first-round Alabama wide receiver. Was very good as the wide receiver 2 to Devontae Smith last season. 27, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. Here's where I'm going to go a little bit off the board, and I'm going to have them get Myjai Sanders from Cincinnati. I think he'd be stand-up, off-ball linebacker that's going to rush. You know, just have him off-ball. Just be the edge rusher there. You know, you have... He's not going to be a Van Noy, but he's going to be kind of like, you know, Shaq Lawson. You know, you traded Shaq Lawson to bring in Bernardrick McKinney. Lost a little bit of that edge. And he's going to be coming in as a guy that's a little bit one-dimensional. Not getting a guy that's a great run defender, but you're getting a guy that's going to be coming in as a pass rush specialist. Kind of think, like, this is the value. This is the value where Owe went to the Baltimore Ravens. Like, those guys that might be a little bit one-dimensional, but you think you trust their ceiling and your coach's development, they're going to make them into a well-rounded edge. And I think ultimately, Sanders on one side, you'll have Jalen Phillips on the other. Double dipping on edge is beneficial to keeping that Dolphins defense group elite, which is that's how Brian Flores wants his team to remain. And I think at this point, BPA could be Sanders because he is going to be a sack machine. I think kind of you want to comp. Every time you get these kind of guys, it's Yannick Ngakoue. But again, he's the Yannick Ngakoue comp of this year's draft class, and most likely will sneak into the first round. 28, we have the Baltimore Ravens. And I think for Baltimore here, you got to go tackle. I'm going to have them get Zion Nelson. This spot, I mean, it's probably unlikely that, you know, he'd still be on the board. Tackles would have this big of a drop-off after Evan Neal. But that's just how the board went, and I think you still obviously need to get your right tackle there to replace Orlando Brown, which you can get in Zion Nelson. 29, the Buffalo Bills. I think they could go running back. I think Breece Hall is RB1 in this class, but, you know, maybe not. Maybe, you know, a healthy Zach Moss and a healthy Devin Singletary will be enough to be like, hey, we can rock and roll with this group. I think you could also see them go corner, but at this spot, not a huge fan of any of these guys right now to be like, that guy's going first round for sure. So, just go BPA. At this spot, I think someone like Treylon Burks definitely fits the offense there in Buffalo. He could be wide receiver 3. You have Diggs do whatever. You have Gabriel Davis on the left side. You know, I don't know if Cole Beasley still be on the roster, but ultimately, I still just think getting another weapon for Josh Allen help continue to find playmakers that can take the Buffalo Bills over that hump in the AFC, because clearly they're picking 29, still good, but not good enough. Someone like Burks absolutely could be BPA, and a little bit more, not a for sure thing, but you don't have the medical concerns that you have with Ross and Pickens there. But speaking of that, at 30, I'm going to have the Detroit Lions get Justin Ross. If Justin Ross had the back stuff, but, you know, back stuff still had Caleb Farley, similar type injuries, at least a body part go in the first round. So another big playmaker there for the brand new quarterback, Sam Howell, and the Detroit Lions. You're going to probably still need that wide receiver 1. Bonafide wide receiver 1, trying to replace Kenny Galladay. Ross, not the exact same type, but same kind of like big outside guy. Jump ball guy, can make some plays there for you. Help out the rebuild. Pick up the pace a little bit. 31, Tampa Bay. I'm going to have them get Aiden Hutchinson. I think ultimately, when you look at the Bucs, no holes whatsoever. They re-signed pretty much their entire Super Bowl team, but I think they probably should get ready to, like, who's going to take over for Ndamukong Suh on that defensive line. I think someone like Hutchinson, 280, 285, should be able to develop as a 3-4 defensive end. So a little bit of a long-term play, but, you know, it's going to work. It fits the mold of getting the long-term play. They got Try on there at edge rusher, not going to contribute right away, but long-term will be the successor to JPP. I think this could be kind of to a lesser extent Hutchinson. Comes in now, gets some rotational as a rookie. Maybe if they don't even sign Sue, could project as an eventual starter, but still long-term thinking for their defense with that Hutchinson selection. And we finish at 32. Kansas City. You know, I'm good Pickens. I think Pickens a little bit of like a, I'm not gonna say, you know, he's kind of a head case. You know, had some off the fields and stuff like that, but ultimately worked out with Tyreek Hill, and I feel like Kansas City, Andy Reid, good enough coach to be able to get the best out of Pickens, who I think honestly talent-wise would be my wide receiver 1, but he tore the ACL. I don't know if he's going to play next season, but he definitely does seem like the kind of guy that's like, once I'm going to the NFL kind of thing. Almost do like next year like an opt-out. Like you trust his skills, and I wouldn't be shocked if he does declare. So there you go. Get another big playmaker there for Patrick Mahomes. There is my way too early mock draft for 2022. Let me know what you guys think about the picks in the comment section below. As always, first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Really want to hear you guys' feedback on the picks. In terms of picks that I don't love, I definitely, the Kyle Hamilton selection there at 5 feels a little bit weird. Maybe Willis to the Giants. I actually don't really hate the rest of these picks. Those are probably the only ones I feel kind of weird about. Maybe Sanders. Edge rusher, Miami going edge at 27. But I definitely want to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you for watching. Until next time, it's C4 saying peace.